Hello and welcome to the Boost Over Ball podcast, your go-to source for all things Rocket League, with your hosts, K-Cube, Quilly, and Red. So lean forward, lock in, and get ready to go Boost Over Ball.
Yeah, we're recording. The audio levels sound pretty good. Pretty good.
This is nice.
Very nice. Very nice. Discord audio. Here we go. Okay, here we are.
Apologize, audio listeners. Having too much fun with the mic sound.
I mean, some of it's gonna get edited.
Oh yeah.
Edited out.
No, I was just going back and forth and just watching the green bar go up and down.
It's a little ADHD brain.
Yeah. Niche thing.
Green bar go burr. Okay, we good to go?
Yes, sir.
Hello and welcome back to the Boost Over Ball podcast. To listeners new and old, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Kyle, K-Cube I'm in the left of the camera, but it's going to be the right on the video. Red's in the middle, and we got Quilly on the far right. How's it going?
Still in Boston. I hate it. I hate this city. I never want to come back.
It's going cold, boys. It's going
It's
cold.
going cold.
And it went dark a while ago. So-
I'd say it started going dark specifically after that NRG Vitality series. It's been downhill since then.
It was dark before then for you at least.
Whoa. I was just simply in the group of death. There's no other.
Oh,
SSG merch.
So now we're a hopper. All right.
I've been hopping since day one. You know, that's the luxury. I feel like that's the luxury of esports. Is like you can just enjoy players, enjoy watching. I feel like because there's so much volatility and movement. But I mean, unfortunately, I will die with the fourth killer, and unfortunately, we will be talking a lot about that today. And God, is the brand so bad today for first killer? I'm so cooked. I don't know what to do, what to say. I'm kind of, you know what? Actually, when we start talking first killer, I'm going to shower.
I'm just gonna leave.
He's
You're
just
gonna
gonna
leave.
He's just gonna walk off. But I mean, for people who are not aware, who weren't in Boston, Snowmageddon, I guess. There's like 18 plus inches of snow, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. A lot of content creators and a lot of people flew out Saturday night or early Sunday morning, but my Monday flight was canceled. I rebooked for Tuesday. That was canceled. Rebooked for a different Tuesday night flight. That was canceled. So I'm here till Wednesday. A lot of the casters and the players are stuck here still in the hotel. I mean, First Touch went live with the Snowed In episode. So
With Chalkcast.
With
Yeah, with
Chalkcast,
Chalkcast,
Gentlemates,
yep.
Stizzy. I mean, I'm sure there's more players there, but yeah, it's been great. Yeah, we've pushed a car out of the snow. Technically, 6 times now? Shut up.
Possibly 7.
possibly 7.
Oh my god.
It was a 6-7 joke.
I know.
That's like,
I know.
That's the equivalent of that.
I'm
that-
making you
that
explain
meme.
it so people can
That
hear
meme where
how it
he
goes.
puts the hand on the shoulder and it's the.
It's time. Give it up, buddy.
But there's still, for crying out loud, there's still ice and snow stuck to the window of our second floor hotel room. So, it's great. It's a great time. Snow sucks a lot, and we're here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is just something we can't avoid unless we just skipped out on all of Sunday, which would have sucked because kind of what we've been waiting for the whole time was to come to this event and experience it all. And to cut it short, kind of would have just killed it.
Felt not right.
Yeah, it just felt like we are just leaving it on the table. So unfortunately, we had to bite the bullet and extend the trip a couple days. Extra bro time. We're broing down against our will.
To be fair, I did try to leave Sunday night, after the event was done. That flight even got canceled. So, but there was no choice. Even if we didn't want to be here, we are here.
Yeah. So I mean, today we'll obviously be talking about the Boston Major. We'll recap it. We'll talk about all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, all of our predictions, everything that we did. I don't know that. I don't think any of us predicted the correct winner. In fact, I know that none of us predicted the correct winner. I don't think any of us even predicted them to be in the grand finals. I think for the most part, other than Vitality, I believe that we all picked the correct teams to be. Actually, I picked Virtus.pro to come out of Group B, but I think that GK and I think that might be one, right, that we didn't predict, and Vitality maybe to come out of the groups.
Yeah, I think majority of us had twisted minds because we assumed MENA equal good, but as we found out, we'll talk a bit later about it, but maybe MENA not so good.
So before we talk about the matches, before we talk about the games, why don't we talk about the overall experience, the being there on the closed crowd days, what we think about the accommodations, the venue, all that kind of stuff. Quilly, you care to start on that one?
Yeah, it was definitely a different experience. Last time in Boston, we didn't know we could come in on the non-crowd days, media only, and player
We
only
went to
days.
the watch party across the street at the cantina on Friday, and we're like, wait a minute, we could have just gone in.
Yeah,
Whoops.
we got to experience the inside this go around, and it's a little bit different compared to all the other ones. I think a little bit of our access was taken aback from us because it's such a small venue. There's so much going on. The fact that they let us in is a blessing in of itself. So we just had to make do. We only had access to certain spots. Mostly the press room is where we spent most of our time because that's the only place we could fit in without being in the way.
That's also where we did our interviews.
Yes, that's
Just
where
down in the press room.
all of our interviews were filmed. So it was a little bit lesser on the being involved or being around everything going on side of it, and more just doing the actual strictly press and interview side of it. But still fun nonetheless. We still got to see a little bit of peaceful previews of all the players. So there's less involved on our end this go around, but still fun nonetheless. Just being around a crowd, being in this small venue that fit so much less peaceful because they actually didn't have a top row. It was just a lower bowl, a nice, perfect sized arena for an esports event in NA. So it filled out nicely. It was loud. It was awesome. The crowd, it ebbed and flowed. It did have some down points where morale was low. What the hell, Shopify? But other than that, the event was awesome. Being a part of stuff like this, just being a small little cog in this big old machine is pretty cool. So yeah, can never complain about that. This is truly a blessing to be a part of and to go to, even as a fan.
You want me to go, Red, or you want me to
Go for it.
So I will never complain about getting media access. We're very fortunate to be able to have that, to do the interviews, to get the pictures, to get the B-roll, all of the B-roll. But the closed audience day room that they were doing it in was smaller here in Boston. It's a smaller venue, it's a smaller arena. It's there's not the same kind of space, so we didn't get the same kind of access, right? We were only allowed in one small portion of the room. We didn't want to be in the way. We didn't want to get in any of the shots, so we stuck to our little corner, so our pictures reflect that, right? There's only one, group of 3 PCs that we could see from where we were at, whereas like in Raleigh or at Dickies, the room is much, much bigger, so there was a lot of space for us to kind of maneuver around the setup to get whatever kind of pictures and content that we wanted. But here that wasn't the case. I was also hoping that we would get to use the press box like we did when we were in Boston the last time, and that is not something that we were able to do, unfortunately. But other than kind of some of the space restrictions, it feels kind of bad saying that, but this is one of the better venues to watch Rocket League, to experience Rocket League that we have. The venue size is so perfect. There's no upper bowl. Even on Sunday, after a lot of people had left, the crowd was still loud and was very attentive, and even with an all EU grand final, right? Like we still, it was still loud. Even some of the EU casters who didn't make the trip were hats off to NA. The crowd was good. Way to go. This is the best NA crowd that we've heard. But, like always with the crowd stuff, you can always do better. So all in all, still a fantastic event. Some of the best Rocket League, I think, that we've ever seen on LAN. But, we can kind of hope that the venue accommodations for media will improve.
Yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, the thing is, it was such a smaller venue. Like, they can only give us so much without us impeding on what they were doing. So, it's at the end of the day, it doesn't want to seem like we're like, oh, boo-hoo, us, tiny violin. It's like, it's reasonable with like what was going on and keeping us out of the way, that we don't affect the production, because they got a lot on their plate, and keeping us out of the way obviously makes things a lot easier, rather than having us bumping, being where we shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think one of our only valid, I think, feedbacks would be like our actual like press room that we got to hang out in. Initially, didn't have any form of like TVs or anything so that we could watch. Like we weren't able to see the broadcast from that press room. We actually had to use our own devices. Which usually there'd be some sort of a broadcast feed going into the room we're in. That way we don't have any delay. We're able to see like real time. Also, we didn't really get snacks or anything until like Friday. So that kind of sucked, but just small things. Again, I think just with the size of the venue, it definitely affected a lot of things. But I mean, we've all kind of hit on it, but these hockey arenas are just the perfect size for a major. It really allows you to have that kind of feel of the crowd being full, everyone kind of being locked in on watching watching the game that's happening. I'm all for like these hockey arenas being the like venues for these type of esports events. It just works so perfectly. But yeah, it was a great time. And I think we'll go ahead and probably get into the matches here.
Yeah, I think it's about that time. So let's go group by group. We can start out in Group A, the Group of Life, as it was come to be known, and that being NRG, NIP, Power, and Five Fears. So to not much surprise at all, NRG comes out of the group 3-0, finishing 9-2. NIP takes that second spot, going 2-1 with a record of 7-5. We have Power in third, going 1-2 with a 6-6 record, and we have Five Fears going 0-3 with an 0-9 record. So, not, in my opinion, not a whole lot to comment on this. We figured the best series of the group would be NRG NIP, and that was the case. Five Fears not even able to take a game off of anybody, even including Power. So
I would tend to disagree on the best game of the series. I would say, we gotta talk about the Power NIP series, the unfortunate downfall of Oceania.
Yeah, you're right.
So for context, if you missed out on this series, when it was coming down to final qualifications, there was a chance for Power to still qualify when it came to round 3 and their match against NIP, as the winner of that series would most likely qualify, as they would have the 2-1 over the other. Now, here's where the unfortunateness comes into it, and I will say I've been a big hater of Oceania for these last couple of seasons. I think the region hasn't really improved as much as it should have, but they definitely, I think, had much more fight to them this time. Shout out our boy Fiber. That man is a legend. We love Fiber. Great person to interview. Great person just to talk to if you ever get the chance to.
Man was rocking the drip.
Dude was also dripped out.
Bust down Cuban.
Oh yeah.
But for context, round 3, NIP ended up winning the series 3-2. It doesn't really tell the story, as we had a reverse sweep, one of the first reverse sweeps of the day, shockingly, as there was one more. But Power, come out lights out, taking game 1 1-0 in OT, game 2 2-1. They looked fantastic. Power was playing some of the best Rocket League we had seen them play to that day. timeout buff comes in for NIP, and they just seems like Power just was not able to get back into gear. As game 3, NIP win 3-1. They then take a timeout in return under Power, and I almost feel like the timeout hurt them. It seems as game 4, NIP come out and win 6-0, and then finally almost a Brazil, and then game 5. I'm pretty sure it was like down the wire. NIP didn't score until like very late into the game, like 30 seconds left into the game. They take a 1-goal lead and finish the series 1-0 to finish the reverse sweep. It was, as many of the press, to the dismay of many of the press people there, a sad sight because we were really rooting for this Power roster. And I mean, yeah, it was. I think trumped series of the group. Initially, we're going to say, obviously NRG and IP, as it had that feeling of, is NIP going to try to reverse sweep NRG? If you remember from, I believe was it Raleigh that this happened, where NRG almost got reverse swept by NIP and then held them off in game 5. It had that similar vibe as NRG won the first 2 games. Then they lose game 3 4-1, and you're like, oh, here we go. It's starting. But OT, 17 seconds into OT of game 4, NRG handle business through, and you get the series 1-3-1. Otherwise, not much else to shout out about this group, except for the 5 Fears social media team. Whoever is running that account, you are a legend. You have the best humor I've seen from an org so far. Please keep doing that. You will actually make me want to cheer for an SSA team more often.
Yeah, I feel bad for the players, though. They were getting shit on by their own social media the entire time. My favorite post, a highlight of it, was I'm saying, oh, great, now we have to play NRG. And then the follow-up quote was the SpongeBob meme. Was like, oh, is that, even if we win, we're not going to qualify?
But, gentlemen, any other comments about Group A?
I got nothing. That was the most straightforward one.
Yeah, it went as expected outside of Power almost coming out, which would have been insane because obviously, as mentioned, Fiber, friend of the show, a little bit. We've talked to him. He's a fan.
He did ask when he could be on the pod. So
that's what I'm saying.
Fiber, we'd still love to have
Stay
you.
tuned.
I don't know if I'm being liberal with the use of the word friend, but I'd say friend of the show.
Try to
knower of the show, acknowledger of the show.
We'll try to make those time zones work out when we record the episode.
That would probably have to be a pre-recorder.
Yeah, it might be a pre-recorder.
Morning.
Harmonic made it work.
Harmonic's sleep schedule was also
he's on gamer
cursed.
Yeah. But they're 12 to 14 hours ahead.
It's like it would probably be like a morning recording for one of us.
Mm-hmm. Their open streams go on at 2 a.m. our time.
God. Let's go.
Alrighty. Group B. Actually, you know what? Do we want to go Group B or do we want to go Group D here?
Let's go Group D.
Right.
We'll jump down to there because that one was another one that kind of as expected.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit. Genomates finishing 3-0 with a 9-3 game differential. Shopify Rebellion take that second spot, going 2-1 with a 7-5 record. MIBR going 1-2 and missing out with 7-7 record. And in fourth place, we have TSM going 0-3, but taking a game and going 1-9. So first and foremost, shout out Project De La Cruz for getting signed to TSM. Good for them to be able to get a win, a game win. And also, one thing that we didn't mention about 5 Fears, and I'm going to say the same thing about, Project De La Cruz, is it's good to see representation from the actual regions, right? So, like, the level of competition wasn't amazing from 5 Fears. It wasn't, amazing from TSM, but, getting Kevin and Sphinx and then getting Guns and Snowy, the experience has got to be immense, right? Like these are, unfortunately for SSA, they kind of got curb stomped by Foot, and so they didn't get to have any LAN experience there. So with the only one import rule that they put into place, which I don't think we give enough credit for that rule, because that's a phenomenal change, and hopefully that experience can help them grow and continue to improve their regional performances. But I thought personally that MIBR was going to come out of this group over Shopify. I didn't put that in my predictions, but that's kind of what I was thinking would happen. But a Game 5 early win from Shopify over MIBR is the reason that Shopify comes out. But they took Mates and Shopify to 5. So a great showing from MIBR, and it was great to see the bull back on LAN, even if it wasn't in front of a crowd.
Yeah, I mean, this was a fantastic showing, I think, from Group D, especially for those that were hoping for this to be a little more entertainment value-wise. Obviously, you know, we talked about this on the previous episode, but First Killer, when it comes to facing SAM teams on LAN, especially the SAM 2 seed specifically, we know there's a bit of history there back when he lost to Team Secret in round 5 of Swiss at Raleigh. However, I mean, this series, the fantastic series between Shopify and MIBR going back and forth game for game. Game 1, 4-minute OT, 3-2 Shopify win. The MIBR come right back with a 1-0 victory. Shopify with a 3-2 in game 3. MIBR 6-minute 20-second OT game 4 victory, 3-2 going into game 5. And you'll notice a bit of a trend here. MIBR just, I don't think, they did not have the capability to finish on Champions Field, losing the final game of the series 1-3. Similar story against their series against Gentlemates, although at that point in time, it was kind of determined that, especially with Shopify 3-0ing TSM, they weren't able to qualify for the group anymore. But you know, props to them for continuing to fight it out to try to increase their standing there. MIBR losing game 1 0-7. Now, doesn't sound like a great start, mind you, but they win game 2 1-0, lose game 3 in a 1-minute 18-second OT, go 1-2. Win game 4 3-2 in a 1-minute OT, and then finally game 5 again, losing 0-1. I mean, I think it was a great showing from the SAM 2 seed. Do I think that, you know, out of say like 100 times, do I think MIBR makes it out of this group? I'd say probably 30 times. It was very close. I think First Killer and LJ specifically were playing very well in this group stage. However, one thing to note, you know, obviously Gentlemates, the would-be major champions, did end up beating Shopify 3-1. We all, I think, kind of had this predicted, as Shopify had been looking the greatest coming out of the NA Opens. Sorry, Quilly, but especially with, you know, a Gentlemates roster coming off of an Open 3 victory against Karmine Corps, where they genuinely looked dominant. You know, they take game 1 in a 4-minute OT, looking pretty hopeful, and then they are shut out for the next 3 games of the series, 0-1, 0-5, and 0-1. One thing to note, I kind of talked about this earlier, but we probably should make this known. There were timeouts. You heard me talking about timeouts.
Usually 5,
usually there would not be timeouts in this type of group stage, but they did bring in a quick timeout, just one either timeout, similar to the BO7s, but in BO5's this case. Do I like it? Yes, because especially in a BO5, like with this high stakes of a group stage, definitely important.
Yeah, you only play 3 games in your groups too.
Yeah,
and it's literally, you can go 2-1 and not make it. So timeouts are very important.
Yeah, timeouts are very important. I like the change. Obviously, if you haven't seen, the Rocket League Esports channel did announce that there will be 3 teams from the groups for the next major and Worlds making it into playoffs instead of 2. Not sure why they only did 2 for the first one. Maybe just experimenting, but I'm glad they've changed it to 2-3, because this allows, I think, a little more leniency for the minor regions, especially that maybe get in a more stacked group than others. Although, speaking of stacked groups, we'll get to that one. But
so before we jump into the other 2 groups, they have to do 3 in-person days, right?
I would hope. I would hope. It is.
I mean, it's also Paris, right? The next major is going to be in Paris.
It's going to be.
If they didn't do 3 crowd days, they're like, that's printing money. Mm-hmm. Like that's free money, basically. I don't like you have to do it, in my opinion. But I'll be interested to see how the bracket shapes out. If you're going to have, 3, or you're going to have 12 of the 16 teams moving into playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would imagine it's probably just like a play-in game for each of the lower round ones. So.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about the group format just yet, or do we want to hold off on it? Because I do think this series did show a possibility of some problems with the groups format.
I think I know what you're
Because
talking
I
about.
think the mates, all they had to do going into round 3 was win one game, and they were qualified. And if they just threw the MIBR series and lost 3-1, and obviously it didn't happen, but if TSM took a game, MIBR would have had the qualification. Like mates could have very well taken Shopify's position by
Screwed over Shopify.
Now, I mean, I think we run into a similar situation to like the Young Money Clan. If you remember back in the day, Young Money Clan was an SSA team that
There's a bunch of English and
it was an import
Playing
team
in SA,
that
SSA.
threw. I will just straight up say,
Allegedly.
allegedly, but pretty
Well,
much
it's not
confirmed.
allegedly
No,
because they
it's
got
confirmed.
banned for a
Confirmed.
year.
They threw their placement in one of the opens at the time, purely because they knew that would make their competition to qualify much easier.
So they threw their round 3 Swiss match to go to round 4 because they figured out that if they won in round 4, then they would play Limitless.
Mm-hmm. And
Earlier in the quarterfinals, they'd play Limitless to try and eliminate them, and they needed to do that in order to make the major. Limitless needed to finish, quarterfinals or worse, and they needed to they needed to win. So
Obviously, I assume mates have. I'm not accusing the mates of anything. I'm just saying it could have been a possibility. This is not me saying the mates were trying to do it, because obviously they won 3-2. But I'm saying this is a possibility of something that could happen. Obviously, we assume competitive integrity. Players respect themselves and want to win regardless of who they're going against and who they'd have to face. It's just something that I can see is a problem. And also on top of that, even with throwing, even if mates lose, I feel like going 2-1 and not qualifying, obviously that should be solved with the 3 going in. But with this,
ow.
did that fall on you?
oh,
You leaned on the wall and it knocked it off.
You lean on the flag and pulled it down.
Green flag still up.
All right. Well, Kiki fixes that. Another thing to piggyback off of the potential problems of this format. You saw.
I fell too.
Oh, but are you refit? I mean, it's up still. Oh, and there it goes.
Okay, well, they fixed that.
Yeah.
I'll yap. So you probably saw and talked on Twitter a decent amount, and it's the idea of these teams playing series that don't matter. Well, besides, I'll say don't matter air quotes. They matter for seeding when it comes to the points you get in placement
And
prize money. However, I kind of agree that is my one gripe with this format. I think it's a nice breath of fresh air with the format. It's a different scenario than just slam me over and over again with Swiss stages. But some couple examples here: the TSM series in Shopify, Twisted Minds versus SSG,
The whole
5 years versus NRG,
GK Falcons and Furia VP.
That one makes a little more sense, but
I almost feel like a group stage like they have at FIFA E could be acceptable.
you mean like the 2 game, like with
2 games,
draws and
2 games, but you could even do it. You could play it. You play every team 3 times, because that's
Maybe.
6 games against every player.
I still feel like that format is still a little too niche to go to like the RLCS stage.
It just because the game differential means so much, right?
That's fair.
The win gets you the 3 points, but if you're able to take that second match, then it's huge.
Yeah,
And it makes every game more meaningful.
fair. But I feel like at that point you just go back to Swiss stage again.
Yeah, no, that's very fair because
Is Swiss stage perfect?
no.
Well, it's perfect without Bukels.
I love. Don't even get.
Yeah, Buchel's got old Yellard. It's fine.
We need
needs to
to
stay
make
old,
Buchholz Voldemort. We need to make it.
Yeah, you shall not be
Get
named.
that shit out of
But
here.
to kind of piggyback, really any format that can reward losing is probably not a format that you need to be continuing to do.
Yeah.
I very much appreciate the fact that they did something different. It's cool to see. I think 3 teams coming out of each group certainly makes it much better. So I'm intrigued to see how they're going to continue to do that moving forward, especially because we're still going to go Swiss stage in opens too, I believe.
Yeah, genuinely, that one change of 3 coming out solves quite literally the problem I'm talking about, because
Because then you still see Virtus Pro, you still see Power, you still see Twisted Minds, we still get MIBR, but that's where we're at.
Yeah. So the main problem is just 2 coming out. At least 3 need to come out.
Yeah.
Or are we just kidding? I do love Swiss though. I
Swiss is so much fun
because you get that 2-2 matchup. One's going home, one's going on. It's so fire.
You also probably misses the Swiss stage, Project De La Cruz /TSM. Because them APAC boys, they run that Swiss stage. Let me tell you,
they get the 1-2, they get the 0-2, the 1-2 matchups. They get some breathing room. They get some good competition. This one, they get literally the LAN winners and NA2.
Yeah, well, which as we'll talk about, wasn't much to talk about, but
let's go Group C, because I think that Group B had more interesting matches in round 3.
I mean,
like as a whole, right?
Fair. As a whole, I will agree, because we can talk about the scenario that happened in round 3 for that group.
So in Group C, the group of death, we have Team Vitality coming. Going 9-2. I was going to talk about the matchups, but I'm going to do that after. Karmine Corps coming in second place, going 2-1 with an 8-7. Yeah. We have Twisted Minds going 1-2 with a 5-7 game record, and we have Space Station Gaming going 0-3 with a 3-9 record. So Space Station gets swept by Vitality. They are able to take Karmine to 5, which was one of the most entertaining series of the group stage, and they take a game off of Twisted. But man, that Twisted series, or that Twisted team, all of us, we saw them go to 5 with Karmine Corps in round 1, and we're kind of thinking, oh man, like they could be the real deal, like they could be good, and then they get swept by Vitality, and that kind of realistically ends their chances after Karmine are able to take the game against Space Station. So another part of the format where that round 3, that Twisted Space Station series, literally meant nothing other than points and prize money.
Yeah, this was an interesting group, to say the least. Obviously, Vitality come into the group not looking the greatest. Especially,
I think a lot of people expected him to get grouped.
Yes, I think a lot of teams, a lot of predictions had the Vitality going out.
CJ.
Yes, CJ. Thank you, CJ, for causing Zen to realize, oh wait, I'm still him.
I'm literally Zen.
I'm literally Zen. For people who are not aware, they did Chalkcast did a last minute top 25 player ranking stream on Wednesday night before the event, and CJ put Zen at 25.
Yeah, it's not player ranking of where they think they are. They think how impactful they will be this LAN. He thought Vitality would be grouped, and they wouldn't be even, because obviously group of death, they wouldn't make it out, and therefore Zen being top 5 would be null and void.
Yeah, because there's 24 players who make top 8, so he figured the best of the non-makers.
As we were, as CJ and probably all of us were proven wrong, Vitality, come out and just absolutely manhandle SSG. The only close game was the OT game in game 2, where I think they just kind of were like, oh, let's give it a second, make it a little entertaining. But two shutout games, and then just demolishing Twisted Minds. It wasn't even close. I was half expecting a Monkey Moon crash out at the end of this series. You kind of see it on the face cams as well. He was like, after game 2 loss, it was, I think, pretty much chalked. Final scores in game 1 going to a 4.5-minute OT, which at the time I didn't think was going to have that much momentum swing, but I guess I was wrong. Vitality winning that 2-1, and then game 2 final score 4-0 Vitality, and game 3 5-0 Vitality. Absolute thrashing. Kind of showed Vitality was here to play and really set up what was going to be a fantastic round 3. Not to mention Space Station did show some life. Whether this was Karmine Corps playing down to their level, or Space Station actually showing some prowess as the NA4 seed. Carmine winning game 1, 1-0. It was a very last-second goal, too. It was a very close game. Game 2, Space Station take going 3-2 in a 3-minute OT. Game 3, 1-0. Very close game. All these games were very close, especially this last one we'll talk about here. But game 4, Carmine Corps winning 2-0. Space Station take their timeout. And then game 5, 3-minute 40-second OT with probably one of the iciest OT goals we've seen by Vatira, which was apparently a trend for him at this LAN event, was Vatira scoring an OT winner.
Off of a fake.
This fake was disgusting. I'm sure you'll see it on the Edit Tim highlight reel at some point for the major. But Carmine Corps winning 2-1 and sealing the fate of SSG. If they had won this series, there was absolutely life going against a Twisted Minds roster that we saw was crumbling. But finally, round 3, the one game that didn't matter, Twisted Minds SSG. SSG taking the initial game 4-2 gave the NA hopefuls some life. It was like, oh, maybe they can place a little better. And then Twisted Minds was like, all right, we're still Twisted Minds. And they win the next games 4-3, 4-3, and 3-0. But the series of the group, Carmine Corps Vitality, it was 11 straight.
Vitality had lost 11 straight games in RLCS. We're only talking about RLCS here. To Corps. The last time they were able to beat Carmine Corps was the last time we were in Boston in 2023. So also shout out Ant and the RL Esports account. He was on fire this weekend. He had a pretty funny tweet. He said it finally made it out of the drafts. No one beats Vitality, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 times. So Vitality are able to get their get back when it mattered, probably most. So good for them there, but a great series.
Yeah, this series, I mean, I said it earlier, this was not the first. We had one reverse sweep. It wasn't the only one. What do you know? Vitality reverse sweeping Carmine Corps. Started off a very close series. Carmine Corps winning game 1 4-3, winning game 2 2-1. Incoming timeout buff as Vitality win game 3 2-1. And the next game, game 4, 2-0. Carmine Corps take their timeout in return. And then a lights out Champions Field game, 0-0 until the very end. Vitality taking the series win over Carmine Corps and securing the 1 seed coming out of the group of death. I mean, this was definitely unexpected from the Vitality roster, beating the curse, beating their respective boogeyman. I mean, fantastic series to watch, and especially to finish the day. I believe it was that. I believe that was the last round. That was the last game of the day. Was Carmine Corps Vitality?
That was the last game of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Of the whole.
Fantastic way to end
winner.
it.
Yeah, winner took the number 1 seed.
Vitality taking the 1 seed, Carmine Corps with the 2, which would turn out to bite them, as we'll talk here later. But finally, the group that offered probably the most entertainment value of the group stages, Group B, surprisingly, including Team Falcons, GK Esports, Virtus Pro, formerly Redacted, and Furia.
So Team Falcons topping the group, going 2-1 with an 8-5 record. GK Esports coming in second, going 7-6. Also at 2-1, we have Virtus Pro going 1-2 with a 6-8 record, and we have Furia going 1-2 with a 6-8 record. So before we talk about the matches, I do have to talk about a tweet that went a little bit viral of the Team Heretics flag outside the arena. And so we got some clarification on that. They brought 3 flags for this team: 1 if they stayed redacted, 1 if they signed with Team Heretics, and 1 if they signed with Virtus Pro, and they just put the wrong one up. So they almost got signed by Team Heretics, but ended up signing with Virtus Pro, and this was their first event under the Virtus Pro banner, so they got the flag switched, but a little bit of a mishap there in the meantime.
Yeah, which is interesting to kind of see just how much they know the inner workings, because I believe it got released that there was about 6 orgs that were actually looking at signing this redacted roster, now Virtus Pro. So curious to see that those were the 2 frontrunners. Obviously makes a lot of sense for Virtus Pro being in the scene before already, formerly in APAC. Team Heretics, glad to know that they're interested. Hopefully we see them pick up a roster in one of the regions. Would love them to grab a team in NA or even EU, or, go and snag someone from the minor regions as well.
I mean, it just kind of makes sense too, especially with the Esports World Cup, right? And
Absolutely.
shout out the Saudis there on that one. That's all I'm talking about is esports here. We're not getting into politics, but the Esports World Cup is especially for orgs, like with the Org World Cup, it's free points to have an RLCS team that places, right? Otherwise, you're missing out. So that's millions and potentially millions and millions of dollars that you could be missing out on. So by signing a Rocket League roster, you could potentially recoup all of the money you've spent on that roster to sign them for almost a year. So, congratulations to Redacted on making that signing, and welcome back to the scene for Virtus Pro, one of the bigger esport, like a tier 1 esports org in the world. So,
yep. All right, and to get on with Group B, to start the round. Did you go for the results?
Yeah. So I mean, the round 1, as expected, Falcons and GK both 3-1. Falcons over VP and GK over Furia. Round 2, GK able to beat Virtus Pro and Furia able to beat Falcons, which I think was a little bit unexpected. That's Furia's only win, as they fall in 5 to Virtus Pro, and Falcons are able to make quick work of GK there. But I think really the most important aspect of this group was that round 3, as there was still a chance heading into those games that Virtus Pro could make it out of the groups and GK might not. Or Furia, right.
All teams were still actively able to make it to playoffs there.
It was win and in for Furia and for Falcons. GK only needed to take one match, and Virtus Pro needed to sweep Furia. So that GK Falcons series, they were both going on at the same time, and Falcons went up 2-0. And you're thinking, oh man, and Virtus Pro takes game 1. You're thinking, oh man, this might be there's an opportunity here. And then in quick succession, GK is able to take game 3, and Furia kind of win 3-0 in game 2 against Virtus Pro. So Virtus Pro able to pick up a series win, kind of get the monkey off their back for LAN experience at least, and but they were not able to do enough to get out of the group. So rip my predictions on that one.
But yeah, to talk about a couple of the notable series, obviously round 2 we mentioned Furia beating Falcons. This is their first win against a MENA team that I can think of. And I mean, it was surprised a lot of us because SAM, we had talked about it in previous episodes. The SAM region is more so known for their offensive abilities, as we've seen in the previous opens, that they've kind of reverted back to that pure offensive style. But in this series, I mean, you would have thought that we were watching some Italian FIFA soccer right there. I mean, Furia pulling out some of the best defensive performance we've seen from them ever. First, Falcons winning game 1 1-0. Furia winning game 2 in a 3-minute OT 2-1. Then Falcons taking game 3 right back 2-0. Game 4, Furia winning 3-2 with a Falcon timeout, and then game 5, some of the craziest defense we've seen for Furia to win 1-0 and secure the series victory and give them a chance at making it to playoffs. Similar thing happened with the GK VP series. GK fighting off the reverse sweep. You almost had 3 reverse sweeps in one day, which is just crazy. But yeah, GK VP, GK winning game 1 and game 2, 2-1. VP actually taking an early timeout after game 1, which is an interesting strategy from the VP roster. I think the only time I'd seen that throughout the day. And then VP coming back, winning game 3 and 4, 2-1. I mean, absolutely back and forth, completely even on goal differential. Finally, game 5, 1 minute 22 OT. And GK, this has to be a theme in EU apparently, but the only way you can win an OT is off of a fake. We witnessed a similar...
A fake or an overcommit.
A fake or an overcommit, one of the two. But a fantastic fake play by GK to secure the victory and kind of dash the hopes for VP. However, there was a possibility. I'll talk a bit about the possibilities here for round 3, as I was very intrigued by it. But Falcons, you were pretty much in. There was nothing Falcons really needed to do. It was all about seeding. All you had to do was win the series, and you got the seeding. GK was a little more secure than the rest, but still had the ability to not make it. All GK had to do was win a singular game. Funnily enough, it was actually looking a lot closer than that, because that singular game they won was a 3-2 victory in Game 3 against Falcons, where at the time Falcons was pretty much dominating them, winning Game 1 4-2, Game 2 3-1, and the final game 2-1. But as that series was going on in the other series, the results that needed to happen for each team, in regards to Furia, what Furia had to do is GK had to not win any games. Step 1. Step 2 for Furia is all they had to do was win the series at that case. Because as soon as GK win the one game, Furia, excuse me, actually, there was a potential scenario. No, actually, never mind. Yeah, because as soon as GK won that one game, Furia then is no longer able to make it due to the game differential being the same, and then it would go to the head-to-head tiebreaker, which means GK would beat Furia as they won the head-to-head there. And then finally, VP needed a whole lot of help. They needed GK to get swept. They needed to sweep Furia themselves. So, yeah, unfortunate there for both those teams, as about halfway through that series, I don't know if the coach told them, but they might have known that it was not possible, as GK won in Game 3. But very entertaining group as it came down to the wire, and especially shout out to GK. I mean, we all kind of doubted, or at least I definitely doubted them going into that group, as they did not have the greatest of EU Opens 1, 2, and 3, performing very inconsistently. I kind of compared them to almost essentially SSG and NA with their inconsistency, but proving me wrong, and beating Furia very well, getting Game 5 against VP, and holding off the reverse sweep. Not able to beat Falcons, as Falcons finally realized, oh hey, wait a minute, we're Falcons. But I mean, fantastic group all around, and a great way to kind of wrap up the group stage.
The only thing I have to say about Group B, they did a hot takes video and on the RLCS Twitter, and one of the common hot takes was not only Mina isn't as good as everyone thinks, but the Falcons specifically are not as good as everyone thinks they are. They're just a good on-paper team, and though they did dominate, it did show a little bit here. They were the only number 1 seed to not reach a 3-0 record, and by proxy, not get 9 wins. The other 3 went 9-2 or 9-3. So it showed a little bit there. Obviously, they still dominated, but I think the teams were definitely lesser on paper than them. So it shows that though they still can dominate, as we'll see later on, they are more than capable of being dominated, as long as they're not playing a team near Shopify Rebellion.
So it's a pretty good segue as any. So looking at our predictions for the group stage, Red has Ninjas and NRG out of Group A, Falcons and Virtus Pro out of Group B, Carmine and Twisted out of Group C, and Gentlemates and Shopify Rebellion out of Group D. So missing out on Twisted and Virtus Pro, which is the exact same thing that I missed out on, and the exact same thing that our group prediction missed. But Quilly,
What's up?
Correctly gets Ninjas and NRG, correctly gets Falcons and GK, has Carmine and Twisted, and then has Mates and Rebellion. So Quilly going 7 for 8, and then our group, Red and I, going 6 for 8. So still 75%. That's still a C passing to me. I'm good with that.
How ignorant of us to doubt NA Zen, Boston Zen.
I
If they would have showed me that win-loss record before I made the prediction, I probably would have changed some stuff. For context, there was a tweet made out after Vitality made their way through groups. Zen at the time, after that group stage, was 11-1 in Boston. 11-1, meaning not games, series. So in their run in Boston, when they won the major back in 2023, then would go on to win the next major and Worlds and become Worlds MVP. Zen had only lost one series in Boston, which I believe at the time was was it the Swiss stage or was it
Yes,
uppers?
Swiss.
I think it was Swiss stage. Yeah, Swiss stage. But I mean,
No, it was lowers because they had to make the
They
run.
they had to make the
They
run
beat
because they
BES
lost
twice
Yes.
in the grand final.
Yes,
Yep.
that is correct. So, would have been a nice stat to know and make the predictions. But it's still not as strong as Monkey Moon and Dallas Fort Worth.
I mean, maybe we'll find out.
But going into playoffs, I'm assuming, unless anyone has any other comments here.
Nope. Let's get into it.
So
Let's do this first, right? So we'll go through all the results.
Okay.
I'll do all the series scores, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about the individual matches that we want to talk about, and then the teams that we want to talk about.
sounds good.
So in the in the lower bracket in round 1, we have Carmine Corps taking down GK in 7. We have Shopify Rebellion taking out Ninjas in Pajamas in 6, and then from our upper bracket we have Gentlemates taking down NRG in 7, and we have Vitality taking down Falcons in 6. Moving forward into our lower quarterfinals, we have NRG taking down Carmine Corps in 6. And we have Falcons sweeping Shopify Rebellion. Moving into our semifinals, we have Team Vitality taking out NRG in a gentleman's sweep 4-1. And we have Gentlemates taking down Falcons in 7. Moving into our grand finals, where we have Vitality and Gentlemates, and the mates are able to take our your Boston Major in 6, winning 4-2. So first and foremost, I mean, I have to say congratulations to Gentlemates. Congratulations to Nas, Archie, Oski, and Snasky. It was made, a lot of people had talked about it. Nas went from winning a 1v1 console clash con tournament and getting a free PC to winning a major 3 years later. So what a crazy journey for Nas. And truly your Boston Major MVP, as he broke the record for most goals in a series in that one. But let's talk about let's get into the weeds here a little bit and talk about some of these matchups. So what do you guys want to start with?
I mean, what the hell, Shopify?
Well, we'll get to Shopify.
I jumped ahead. But
let's
what
do-
the hell, Shopify?
Let's start lower bracket round 1, as those are the first games for Saturday for the crowd days.
Yeah.
To start the day off, Carmine Corps, GK Esports, and an absolute barn burner of a series. I mean, I don't know what GK has against Carmine, but they got the sauce, apparently, as they have fought closely with Carmine Corps in multiple instances. Carmine Corps coming out strong in back-to-back OT victories in Game 1 and 2, and then GK turning it right back around with an OT victory in Game 3. Game 4 win. Carmine Corps, a timeout was already burnt after the first 2 OT losses, so there was no timeouts here, but GK able to hold it down when Game 5 and Game 6.
So I would also like it noted that Parc de Paris goes to the non-French team. The French teams have struggled to play in France in person and online. So,
Okay.
continue. Sorry.
But GK taking Game 5 and Game 6, and then finally Champions Field, Carmine Corps decide to have that ice, and the plot armor thickens for them as they win 3-1. I mean, it truly when it came to that Game 7, it looked
That
like
was the Vatira
something.
fake.
It was Vatira again showing why he's one of the best players in the world.
Also, OT for the first 3 games and Game 6. It was noted by the RL Esports Twitter account and the statisticians that Vatira and apparently Jack were going back and forth in terms of most overtime winners on LAN. Vatira scored the first 2 to tie apparently Jack. Apparently Jack took the third one to go back into the lead, and then I believe that it was not Vatira to score in Game 6. So I think that apparently Jack is still 1 goal. No, they're back tied.
That one in Game 3 was to tie Abject back to Vatira, because Vatira initially took a lead, and then Abject took the lead, tied it back up, and then later on, Vatira actually does take the official lead and is up by 1 goal in the NRG series.
Yep, but we'll also talk about it later. But there is someone else who is hot on their tails. Yep. So, but
and then the other series of the day, Shopify Rebellion versus NIP. Shopify winning in 6, taking the first 2 games, and then NIP using their timeout buff to take the next 2, and right back to Shopify using their timeout, getting the buff, and winning in 6. Pretty standard series. I think this was some of the best rivalry we had seen coming from First Killer and LJ. Especially LJ was playing very well. It was glad to see him kind of beat the fraud allegations that we had been hearing about him.
A player firmly on fraud watch.
Yes,
for this event.
But props to him for playing much better. We'll talk about Kofor here in the next series as well. But as the Shopify as a whole, we'll wait a second as we're going to go into the upper bracket quarters. Upper bracket quarters, we'll go ahead. I'll start with Energy, Gentlemates. Gentlemates obviously winning in 7. This one hurt to watch, but you could definitely tell Gentlemates had something behind them that was working well.
They had Nas.
They had Nas. He was playing lights out. Archie was playing incredibly well. Oski, they were all playing incredibly well, playing some of the best rally we had seen from them. Energy initially taking the series lead in game 1, losing game 2. A bit of a back and forth. It was weird because it was a 4-1 victory game 1, a 1-4 victory loss in game 2. Not very close, but then game 3 and 4, Energy winning 2-1 and 3-2 in very close series. Notably in that 3-2 victory of game 4, they were down 2-0 with it was
minute 20,
about a minute 20, and Energy just absolutely locking in and kind of clutching up there. Unfortunately, they used up all the clutch sauce as Mates go on to win game 5 and game 6, 3-2 and 3-0. Sathu timeout buff comes in, and unfortunately for Energy, they kind of got figured out on how to be beaten, especially in this series. Gentlemates really pouncing on the counterattack play style as they were really baiting in Energy and just trusting in their defense to allow them to just kind of continue to pull Energy's offense further and further outfield. Winning game 7 3-2 on a last second goal. I believe there was 3 goals scored within the last minute of that game. 2 by Gentlemates, 1 by Energy. It was unfortunate to see for the NA fans, but it is Energy, so there was still hope, and it was just up brackets, so they had another life. But this does put them into the half of the bracket, which I will say was the half bracket of death. But finally, for the other upper bracket quarterfinals matchups, Team Falcons, Team Vitality, and Team Vitality.
I feel like this series was not as close as the series score would.
I agree.
Lead you to believe.
I agree. This was every single game except for the last game of the series, game 6, was a 2-1 or 1-2 loss respectively for each team. Falcons losing, or Vitality taking game 1 in a 3-minute OT 2-1, then winning game 2 2-1, then losing game 3 1-2 in a 3-minute OT again. Timeout by Falcons. They will then take game 4 in a 50-second OT. If you haven't realized, the theme of Boston Major apparently is OTs. I would love to go back and count them all because there was a lot. But winning game 4 2-1, losing game 5 1-2, and then finally game 6, Neo Tokyo, Vitality winning 1-0. This was where I think it really kind of got shown that Team Vitality were here to play. Zen was playing out of his mind. He was back to former World's MVP Zen performance. And it was a little scary as both EU teams win the upper bracket quarterfinals matchups. Quilly, K-Cube, any comments on these 2 series?
Yeah, I think this is the point I was talking about before, where they said Falcons are overrated. It's in a sense that they don't have the team chem, they don't have the compatibility or the understanding of each other's play styles to mesh perfectly, especially going against foreign talent like the likes of Peking Zen. And it showed here. Vitality, up until they lost, they were quite literally the most dominant team. Zen was unstoppable, and it showed here. Falcons, one of the highest octane defensive teams, got out defended by Vitality because literally in this entire series, no one scored 3 goals. And the highest anyone scored was 2 goals on both sides. So this was an absolute defensive showdown. And Falcons, having the Twins being known for their defensive prowess, got out defended. They didn't have that offensive cohesion that TRK brought with him. Obviously, we know Drawley's a top 2, if not top 1 offensive player in the world, but it's all about making the chemistry and the play styles work together and making it capable of winning against these other region teams.
Any comments from you, KQ?
I got nothing.
All right.
Before we talk about that NRG series, let's hit the elephant in the room. As
yeah, you want to skip the grand finals? All right.
Yeah,
that's what we're
right,
talking about.
exactly.
Quilly, I'll let you take the lead on this one. Team Falcons with the 4-0 sweep of Shopify Rebellion in the lower bracket quarterfinals. Break it down for us.
Well, I'll break it down. Let's just say in a best of 7 series, Shopify Rebellion has 2 more goals altogether than this room. That's all they scored, 2 goals. They got straight dominated. There was literally no way around it. They had nothing going. This is where, again, though they don't have good chemistry and cohesion, on paper, it can still get you these wins against lesser or less competent teams. And Shopify, from start to finish this entire weekend, seemed like a lesser competent team. Kofor obviously showing out, even LJ having bright spots at times, and First Killer, as much as I defend him, he looked rather pedestrian at times.
So Shift RLE posted during their last 4 international best of 7 playoff eliminations. So like the last 4 times that they were eliminated in playoffs, LJ and First Killer have been 0-16 in games and have been outscored 44-11.
Which just an absolutely insane stat. That means that any time this team will get eliminated, it's been a sweep.
Bad.
It's been a sweep. It's not been close, which is not a great thing to see. The one thing I was going to mention earlier, but waited until now, was this team's offensive structure. Quilly kind of hit on it. That doesn't seem like they have a game plan. It genuinely looks like 3 individual players out there that are just trying to win by themselves. I'm not a fan of Kofor getting reverted to a third man that isn't as demo heavy, as that was one of his fortes. It provided so much chaos for a defense. It allowed so much free space for an offense, which I think you would love to have on a team with First Killer and LJ, who are some of the most more mechanical players in the scene. But we've reverted him to a third man, which, shout out to Kofor. He did plenty fine, I think, as a third man. He's a good third man. Do I think he should be? No. But
I have mentioned it before. I think First Killer would do phenomenally in the Daniel role.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going to have SSG, super aggro Kofor.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's tough to see out of the NA2 seed for them to just have such a poor showing, because like this was a 4-0 sweep and it felt like it was like 100-0.
Yeah.
And they scored 2 goals. And both of those games were it was a 2-1 loss and a 4-1 loss, and that game 3 was an overtime game. But even though it went to overtime, it felt like they were never, like, I never at any point thought that they were going to win a game in that series.
Yeah. I mean, do I think this roster will make changes going into the next split? No. Would I be surprised if they do? Not necessarily. I feel like I'm getting a bit of deja vu with this roster when it comes to last season's Shopify roster. Hercules hits on this a lot with this Shopify team, of how they are at their best when there is some form of teamwork and cohesion on their offense. I don't think we saw a single team play from this roster the entire major.
They just spam double flip reset and hope it works. That's quite literally, they just bring it up the wall, and either LJ's going for a double flip reset, First Killer's going for a flip reset bump, Kofor's going for a flip reset bump. I think if Kofor is downfield, taking out defenders, causing that mayhem, and I don't know, if it's a play style problem, because obviously they're all three more than talented players, but maybe it's just LJ doesn't fit with these two, because obviously we know he can be talented, but he can also look pedestrian as well. It's really just a matter of these players finding their footing together. It's just their play styles are too similar. I feel like they're all good with the ball. They're not good off ball, and they need someone like an Atau, who's great off ball. They need someone like a Daniel, who doesn't need. I think he does need the ball a little bit.
Atomic would be a better shout.
Atomic would be a better shout. He doesn't need the ball with them. They can just make things happen that don't show up in the stat sheet. That just make the other team second guess, or just move in a way they shouldn't have. That'll open up something. I think Kofor is probably their best chance at giving them that, if they just use Kofor a little bit better, and that's what SSG's second half to this, or 2/3 second. They didn't make the first split. All right, the latter half, they only made the last. They made the second and last land. First land was pretty close to this. Wasn't very far off that SSG team, but they got 2 lanes to figure it out, or 2 more sets of opens to figure it out. One more set open, 2 lanes. I got a brain here. Yeah, they really got to figure something out. I think maybe a roster change would help, or a complete revamp of their play style. Because 2 fucking goals.
So,
2.
I mean, and again, to steal more from First Touch here, right? Another show, but like they had a bunch of people on today, because they're also snowed in Boston, just like we are, right? But they had the Gentlemates team on there, and Archie said NA's got no style, no play style. He said other than NRG, because they are a very good team, they've been together so long, they won a world championship. They're obviously they know what they're doing. But he's like, the other NA teams, it's 3 players trying to solo all the time, because there's no like cohesion in team. So I'm
praying they pop off.
We're not necessarily saying that every NA team needs to be like NRG. Not saying it would be a bad thing, but you'll see with NRG's playstyle, especially the trust they have in their roster to go for pre-jumps, to trust in their passing play, even to the detriment sometimes. But just to have that cohesion of, hey, I'm going to go for this bump and dish it mid. You're going to then dish it back to me, and we're going to go for a passing play. Like, just having that understanding and having that cohesion to trust each other in those plays, I think would allow some of these NA teams to perform so much better. But I think we can...
I was going to say, the simplest way to put it, NRG, all of them trust their teammates as much as they trust themselves. Rest of NA, specifically Shopify, only trust themselves not nearly as much as they trust their teammates. And that goes into the chemistry. Chemistry is such an underrated thing in all sporting avenues, not just Rocket League. You need to trust everyone you are working with, and if you're not, it's not going to go well for you.
You're not going to find success.
Yeah,
correct. No. But quickly before we jump into the next round of matches here, we do have kind of an interesting partnership here. We've been working behind the scenes with a little bit with Rob from CSA, from the Car Soccer Association, and we'd like to say that this episode is brought to you by the Car Soccer Association. If you've ever felt like rank doesn't tell the whole story, CSA is where you need to find out what you're really made of. This is a structured, organized, high-level Rocket League with something real on the line. It's a full draft ecosystem with salary caps, real GMs, stat tracking, promotion and relegation, and a $2,000 prize pool that makes every series matter. With a place for everyone, diamond and above, CSA creates a true competitive ladder. Whether you're climbing or defending your spot, you're competing in the system built to test you. CSA's 7 tiers span from academy all the way to world class, where the names speak for itself, with top competitors like Wavy, Cronovi, Gyro, Mizu, Pigeon, and more having taken the field. This is a system built for players who want to climb. Over 1,000 players, live drafts, weekly broadcasts. If you think you're built for it, prove it. Car Soccer Association, where every game counts. And the light just died. That is another time here. But so Quilly and I are both in the league, both looking forward to jumping into it. So I'm excited to be able to bring that read for you from CSA. But we can now jump further into this playoff bracket.
All right. Now a little more in the dark action here. But NRG Karmine Corps, NRG finally beat the boogeyman. I wouldn't say the big boogeyman for them, but one of the boogeymen is known that
RLCS is boogie.
RLCS is boogeyman. And it is no NRG struggles severely against the French powerhouse teams of Karmine Corps and Vitality, but in this case, NRG taking the series 4-2, and we're back. Oh my god!
Sorry for blinding you there. Continue on.
Why
Sorry.
does it feel so much brighter on the
It
screen?
does feel so much brighter.
Hang on, wait. I might need to. Let me do this. Wait, let me go.
That came on full blast.
It's because it's powered on,
There
so
we go.
you can use the scroll wheel on the side to roll it down a little bit.
I think we're good now. I just had to. Yeah, I just had to refocus it. We're good now. All right.
It still feels brighter.
Oh no, that light feels bright as hell.
No, it's a little scroll wheel on the side. You got it? Like flick it down. Yeah, there you go. All right. Is that better? Yeah.
I think we're good. I think we're good now. All right. As we were saying, NRG Karmine Corps. What I wouldn't say series of the day when it comes to the competitive side of things, but we did have a Mates Falcon series later that was also cinema. I mean, it was just a great Sunday all around for Rocket League. But NRG losing game 1, 1-3. Not a great start. A lot of worry from, I think, the NA fans here. But they come back out, win game 2 and game 3 in shutouts, 3-0 and 1-0. Some of the best Rocket League we have seen in general for the day when it came to competitive environment from both teams. Game 4, to note, there are no just a heads up, there are no timeouts taken during this series. Game 4 in the longest OT of the game, and I believe it was said it was the 4th longest OT in RLCS LAN history when it comes to the playoffs. 10 minutes and 16 seconds of Rocket League, 3 whole games of Rocket League in one. Karmine Corps taking the win 3-2 off of yet another fake play. I don't know what it is about Karmine Corps and fakes, but they're so freaking good at it. Bit of a worry here, I think, as well, especially from myself as an NA fan. That long of an OT, that's a lot of momentum shift that you can gain. I mean, you essentially just played the rest of the series in one game and you lost. But that's why I'm not a professional Rocket League player, because NRG hold it down 2-1 in game 5 to be on double match point. And yet again, another long OT series, which I think if Karmine Corps win that series, they go on to win, or that game, they go on to win the rest of the series. On Neo Tokyo, no less, Atomic beating the Neo Tokyo allegations, winning in a 7-minute and 10-second OT, 2-1 off of technically an own goal, not really, kind of a forced own goal. A shot on by, I believe it was was it Atomic? I believe it was the Atomic or Beast Mode.
I thought it was Daniel.
Was it Daniel? It was one of them. I don't know. A shot on target, saved away off the post, bounces back into the goalkeeper that saved it, and own goaling it into the back left post to secure the 4-2 victory. Let me tell you, the stadium was rocking. USA chants, NRG chants, just absolute decibel levels of screaming. A fantastic series. Really got the energy going to start the day after what was a just absolutely abysmal showing by Shopify Rebellion. But I mean, absolute fantastic series. NRG finally kind of beat their vices when it comes to Karmine Corps, who really just had their number, especially in game 7s. That's I think another reason. Like Karmine Corps in game 7 is just you do not to not be trifled with. But they bounced back after game 7 lost to Mates in the previous day, and will secure the top 4 for North America. Any comments?
I would say that NRG finally beat their boogeyman, but I don't think that's quite their boogeyman.
It was like Boogeyman number 2.
Boogeyman, you
yeah.
have to come.
Electric Boogaloo. But a truly electric series. The crowd was phenomenal for this one. And it really kind of seemed like an emotional high for NRG, and you kind of thought, okay, if they can get this kind of win, what else can they do? But like we mentioned before, I think that they kind of used all their energy and all their any
Their
kind of
X factor.
juju that they had going for them in that series, as they were quickly dispatched by Vitality in the semis.
Yeah, unfortunately, Carmine Corp being their big bad Thanos self, it really seemed like at some point Carmine Corp was just going to pull it out of their rear and make it happen as they did in the series prior. Because they just, no matter what happens,
Plot armor. They have plot armor.
Plot armor, but-
I swear.
yeah, NRG coming out on top. What an insane performance by them. And I will say, tension coming from this series. Vatira getting a little spicy out there. The second, actually, I posted a Twitter video of it, and that's when I noticed it. And also, some people noticed him walking off in the back. But these, obviously, whenever a team wins on land, the winning team gets up, walks over to the loser side, daps them all up, and goes. The second it was over, while NRG was still celebrating, Vatira got up, walked over to the NRG side, dapped them up, and immediately turned and walked straight out of the stage floor. He got out of there, immediately got out of Dodge, did not want anything to do with all of that, and fired out a tweet, which I can probably pull up rather quickly to get his exact wording. But, no, he said, insanely proud of my individual performance. We still need to find our way to play. See you next split. So that can be seen as him. He very specifically says, I'm very proud of myself. Not pretty much saying like, hey, I'm great. Fuck you. It seems like he's throwing his team under the bus and saying like, that's not on him. But he did have, to be fair, he did play insane all series, but like I said with the chemistry before, you can't be throwing your teammates under the bus and like expecting them to either be happy with you, want to play with you, or just like keep a level head when playing with you, or getting worried like, hey, this guy hating what I'm doing right now. So like stuff like that can really put fuel in the fire of if things are going awry. And based off this, Carmine Corp, they definitely struggled this entire land. Obviously losing to Vitality, going to 7 with GK, and then losing to NRG. Yeah, this made them seem rather more human, but yeah, there might be some trouble in paradise, as Vatira very clearly makes it seem like something is up with his escape or with his exit, and as well as his tweet.
No. One thing to note, it was kind of made aware, at least in the First Touch stream, when Atao was asked about the Vatira tweet, he actually agreed with the Vatira tweet. So it could just be that dynamic of that trio. I mean, Vatira and Atao, they are very much a duo. I mean, those two are always queuing together, always playing together.
Seems like the Daniel Beast, like the Dan
kind
mode.
of the Dan mode kind of couple there. But so it could just be, obviously venting some frustrations, but obviously Atao kind of agreed with him on that regard. So it could be some more self-reflection and maybe not as, spoken as well as it could have been. But I definitely think Atao didn't play the best. Juicy also, I think Juicy kind of, he did what he needed to do, but definitely would have liked to see a little more from Juicy. But Vatira playing lights out, definitely think he was,
I mean, he dragged this team kicking and screaming to a top 6.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
I think the main part is the thing I brought up first was him walking off the stage immediately, very clearly showing physically that he is beyond frustrated with going out this early and just struggling, I guess, the entirety of being here.
Yeah. But to move on here, we'll go ahead and stay with NRG as NA's hope, NA's last hope, and only hope for the last multiple majors at this point.
Yeah, Boston's in.
Is completely dashed in a gentleman's sweep to Vitality, and this is where it if you hadn't set in yet from the upper bracket matchup, this is where it truly set in that, oh my god, Zen is back.
So I think we have to we've done our segment on mythological Rocket League players before, and I think that we may have to include Boston Zen in the same category as Dickie's Monkey Moon. He wasn't able to fully get the job done this time, but I mean, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean,
He almost top fragged in every single. Can you go to the overall tab?
Yeah.
Like his overall rating is a 7.87. That's not real.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
no.
And for I've seen the clips on Twitter of their comms, but we got to hear it live and in person during the closed to media days. Zen's comms, you can tell that why he is the one with the most touches, the most stats, the most everything. It is him
He's
yelling
leading the comms.
the entire time, just me, go, 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 fake, back. The entire time, he is nonstop saying what he's doing or telling people what to do. He is the conductor of this team, and as you can see by his stats, the team follows his lead. And by God, is it working? And up until obviously grand finals, but outside of that,
I mean, I would say that's less of them doing bad and
Yeah.
more of mates just being
Playing
an
fantastic.
absolute.
the Naster class, if
I will
you
say,
would.
Yeah, the
If
Napster class.
you get the chance to listen to a Vitality comms video, I don't remember if they post those or not on there.
Sometimes they do when
I've
they're,
seen
they're
it on
English
Twitter.
comms.
I've seen
but
it on Twitter before.
I would not recommend every team do this. This is a thing that I think
We have it in some of our videos that we
Yeah.
will be bringing out at some point.
I highly recommend. This is something you only do if you are used to this or have practiced this a lot, because it is a lot. I believe the term I think they use is trigger words to kind of help. Like, it's a lot of short, quick comms of saying the same thing over and over, and it's just like one or two words of
I
just
go,
boom,
I
boom,
go,
boom,
I
boom,
go,
boom,
I
boom, boom.
go.
And it works for them very well.
They're also calming in English. I would like to point out
Yes.
for Stizzy's benefit.
But I mean, it is insane to hear. I would definitely highly recommend it for just your own entertainment. Wouldn't recommend trying it unless you are assuming it's going to work immediately for you. It takes a lot of practice because it's insane. But for just some quick little fun facts here, Zen, throughout this 5-game series, his average score was no lower than 450, and it was it was insane. I mean, everything was working for this man. Finishing the series with 5 goals, 3 assists, 13 saves. Zen is very much known for his highlight reel shots, but he is probably one of the best defenders in the world at this point in time. I mean, he makes so many saves that will keep his team in the running for a series, and especially showed in this series. Energy was throwing pretty much everything they had, including the kitchen sink. I mean, we were seeing multiple 3 players up on the offensive side, bump, triple pass, sealing reads, everything they could at this team, and nothing was working. And it just turned into counterattack goal after counterattack goal, very awkward defenses. I mean, it was a struggle to watch. The gentleman's sweep came off of a singular OT game win after a NRG timeout in game 3, but I mean, otherwise just straight up Vitality domination, winning game 1 4-1, game 2 1-0, game 4 2-1, and game 5 4-1. I mean, it hurt to watch as an Energy fan, but man, Zen is back. He is terrifying, and I don't think we're gonna see any issues for Vitality coming the next open set.
Zen is the LeBron of Rocket League. And how much help does Zen need? More, because by God, is he doing it all? He's literally carrying this team to the heights of almost the 2023 Zen. There's 22.
23. It was 23.
23.
You're right.
That
But
was
I would
mixed up the
also
years.
say I think one of the biggest differences for this team is the contributions from everyone else, right? So I mean, it's no mistake we're pretty critical of First Killer on this podcast. It's no mistake that we're pretty critical of Exotic. We like to give Quilly some shit about it, but World's MVP Exotic, I think, showed up in this event for maybe the first time since since then, right? So
Let's not go that far. I'm just kidding.
he was scoring goals. He was making saves. He had up four assists in that NRG series. Like, he was doing what he needed to do, right? And How much help does Zen need? Not a ton, but he needs some, right? He can't solo carry, and I think that like we didn't see any really big stizzy pop off like crazy mechanic stuff, but what we did see was Exotic being speedy, Exotic with a lot of points with a good rating, and that's more than I can say of Exotic in at all this season so far.
Yes, we've been, especially I think Quilly here has been very critical of Exotic, but it is to note
He still could go back to what he was before, but in this event he looked good.
he looked much better.
He's either the best player in the world or the worst player in the world. It really just matters on which one we're getting. And I think Vitality, they played like they trusted each other, and that's what led them as far as it did. Because, again, just keep hammering it home. Trusting your teammates and having that chemistry will do so much for your team. And Vitality clearly was showing that cohesion. And yeah, they were literally a machine.
Alrighty. Moving on to our other semifinal matchup, Gentle Mates versus Team Falcons, a run it back rematch action from this would be Raleigh Major. Yeah,
Yes.
from Raleigh Major.
Yes.
Previously in their previous matchup, Mates ended up falling in Game 7 of Falcons. Not this time. Gentle Mates have the ice. They have what it takes to beat their boogeyman, so to speak, winning in Game 7. And this was, I think, also where we saw, I was like, okay, this Mates roster they are on.
They're moving different.
They are moving different today.
But I think this series too, like it was less of like Falcons playing well and more of Falcons defense was immaculate.
mhm.
I think that that the one game they had like 20 something shots, and it was truly a sight to behold. I mean, the goal line saves, the back and forth, it was a crazy series.
Yeah. And just to go over this series here, Gentle Mates taking Game 1 1-0. Team Falcons taking Game 2 and 3 2-1 with a Game 3 OT of 1 minute 54 seconds. Mates coming right back with a 3-0 victory in Game 4. Falcons winning Game 5 4-1, leading to a double match point scenario where we kind of thought, okay, Falcons is back. They're back to their Sunday form. They had a nice little pick-me-up from a sweep over Shopify. But Gentle Mates with the ice, winning an OT in Game 6, 3-2 with a 2 minute 49 second OT, and in Game 7, Champ Field with a 2-1 victory to secure it. And
There's 102 shots in this series.
yes, combined 102 shots with
It's actually
78 saves.
122 shots.
Or 122 shots.
Yep,
KQ
you're right.
can't do the math.
Math is hard.
But notable
I ran out of
MVP
fingers.
for this series. One thing to note, looking at the ratings, funnily enough, Team Falcons had the better rating across the board, except minus Oski. Clears and Drawley leading the way with a 7.38 rating and 7.13 rating, and Ruas with a 6.94. But Gentle Mates, Oski with a 7.10, Archie with a 6.49, and Nas with a 6.45. Oski in this series, I think, played by far the best out of anyone. He was insane. I mean, he was the Rock. This man was doing it all. He was everywhere on this pitch. This was, I think, kind of like a build-up. Like, okay, this team is like multifaceted. Like anyone on this roster, at any time, can play lights out, can do what they need to do to get the series done. And an interesting thing to note here as well is Team Falcons is very demo heavy. Specifically Ruas and Clears.
Very reliant on the demos too to
Very
kind of facilitate
reliant on
their
the demos.
offense, at least as of right now, right? This current iteration.
Yes. I remember there was one play they had in Game 7 where they had their third man bring the ball up. They had both of the twins. Drawley, I believe, was bringing the ball up, and they had Clears and Ruas demo chasing on the back line. It was very interesting to watch because the time kind of froze for a second because there's so much space built off of it. But there wasn't a goal off of it, but it just kind of showed their play style. To note, Clears finished the series with 17 demos and Ruas with 19, and that is barring not very long OTs in Game 3 and Game 6. So interesting to see kind of this Team Falcons be so demo reliant. But I mean, Mates, they finally get the best of Falcons in Game 7 and lead to a Gentle Mates Team Vitality double EU Grand Final, and the result is not what many of us expected. I think I will say in this Gentle Mates Falcons series, it definitely could have gone either way. It was very much a coin flip. There was sloppiness from both teams. I initially was counting out either victor from this series. I thought Vitality, especially after a 4-1 victory over Energy, was just going to come in and handle business, and we were going to see Zen Boston once again.
Who, by the way, in the intro, walked out wearing a Boston University sweatshirt, fully catering towards the NA fans there, especially the local Bostonians. But I mean, we talked about it before. You know that Nas is the Boston Major MVP, and this was his coronation. This was the coming out party. This was, you know, everything that you could have ever wanted for as a Nas fan, right? Like, you saw the glimpses during Swiss in his M80 days, and then, you know, he's not able to quite do it, you know, back in EU last season, but this is it.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, Nas had 12 goals in this series. Like, it's just an outclass, right? And we had talked about, you know, just how good Zen has been in this playoff bracket, but Nas was every bit as good, if not better, in this grand final. And, you know, the man could not be kept in his chair. He was jumping up and down, like
spamming the emote wheel, and I love every second of it.
Because you know, they down the stretch, it was really, you know, again, you know, a 5-1 win in game 5 and a 6-2 win in game 6, and, you know, we can't say enough good things about Nas and the rest of the Gentle Mates roster. I'm sure that they're going to release a video about it. If you haven't watched the VOD or the series replay, I would go back and watch it just purely for the fact of seeing Nas's reactions. But true, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about this in the coming weeks, right? About, you know, what this means for EU and what it means for NA and all that stuff. But, you know, I feel like we you know, I don't want to beat the dead horse in terms of like series, but I just, you know, if Gentle Mates scored, they won the game. That's really just as simple as it was, right? They got shut out twice and they lost those 2 games, but other than that, truly they outclassed Vitality.
Absolutely. And we'll kind of break down here the series. Game 1 and Game 2, similar result. Gentle Mates taking the wins 3-1 for both games. And then Game 3 and Game 4 were those 2 shutouts by Vitality after a timeout, coming out with a 1-0 and 2-0 victory. Gentle Mates responds right back with a timeout of their own. And again, the timeout buff, I would love a stat line on how many times a team has won the series outright when they are the last to use their timeout.
I'd love a win rate.
A win rate would be fantastic, because it's got to be positive at the very least. But Gentle Mates, and this is where Nas kind of really showed out. This is when he broke the record.
Took over.
For context, the record previously held by multiple players, including Kronovi, of 9 goals in a grand final LAN series, was broken by Nas. Not only broken, shattered. Shattered is a fantastic word for it. As in Game 5 and Game 6, Gentle Mates win 5-1 and 6-2. And it seemed like Nas could do no wrong. I mean, every touch he made was perfect. There were multiple clips from that series where Nas was just slotting the ball. There's one I vividly remember where he gets a ceiling reset and just puts it top right, the only spot he could have scored, and it was a very far out flip reset shot that he slots into the top right corner, but I mean, it was perfect. Nas finishes the series with 12 goals, shattering the goal record in a LAN grand final on his debut. A quick note here, this Gentle Mate roster of Nas, Oski, and Archie, this was their grand final debut. They had never been to a grand final for a LAN. It was Nas's LAN debut and Oski and Archie. It was actually all 3 of their LAN debuts, I believe.
I think Oski's been to Archie's been to a LAN.
Has he?
Oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. LAN grand final debut.
And GK last year.
I forgot he was part of GK. But LAN grand final debut, and I mean, Nas finishing with an 8.15 rating. You very rarely see a rating above 8.
Unless it's like a 4-0 sweep.
Unless it's like a 4-0 NA or EU versus a minor region sweep, something to that regard. But I mean,
he had 1,000 points in score more than anyone else on his team, and almost 1,000 more than Zen. So,
yeah.
What else is there to say on that?
I mean, it was truly lights out, a MVP worthy performance. The crowd, you would think that Zen, it was noted Zen wearing the Boston University sweatshirt, trying to bring in the NA crowd. A bit of a throwback to the previous Boston major, where from the smart thinking of Farah at the time, getting the NA crowd behind him, as this was another NA major that did not have an NA team in the grand final. That one didn't even have an NA team on Sunday, which was insane. But getting the NA crowd behind them, allowing them to be the NA asterisk team for the event, trying to pull back into that with Zen and the Boston University sweatshirt, quickly fell on deaf ears as Nas captured the audience. I mean, I'm not joking when I say he spammed the emote wheel. I'm not sure how much the broadcast caught it, but as we were watching in person, especially in that last series, I mean, he would stand up from the chair after scoring. He took a bow. He held his hand up to the ear, motioned to the crowd. I mean, he was doing everything he could to keep this crowd on his side, and it worked to a tremendous level. As Gentlemates become your Boston major champions, Zen tries to do what he can to carry the team, doubling the score of both his teammates, finishing with a 7.24 rating. But there's only so much that can be done when you have Nas, delivering the performance of the season by an individual player.
Indeed. And, I'm sure, again, like I mentioned before, we'll be talking about this more in the coming weeks. So, in order to not, continue to take our
there we go. It's not like focusing at all.
Yeah, well, here we are. We're over an hour and a half in, so we're gonna,
that's close enough.
To not take more content from ourselves and to kind of, bring this episode to a close. I don't know what, this was truly some of the best LAN Rocket League in a long time. A phenomenal showing, a great event. So much fun to be a part of. And again, we couldn't do it without any of you guys for, watching the show, for interacting with us on social media, for coming to say hi, for, taking some stickers. I know we handed out quite a few at this event. So
you had a pulse. If you had a pulse, you got a goddamn sticker.
Yeah. So
also feel free, if you got those stickers, take a picture, show them on if they're on your laptop, on your suitcase, wherever you got them put, take a picture, tweet out to our account at Boost Over Ball. We'd love to see what you guys are doing with them, and we appreciate all the support as always.
Oh yeah, but before we wrap up, we got a Quilly question for today.
What is one team that made this LAN? What's a change that one team you want to see make, to their roster?
To the roster. If a team was to make a roster change that made the LAN. Ooh. That's a tough one.
I can give mine.
I think I know what yours is going to be.
Nope.
Oh.
GK gets rid of Appjack.
Really? Okay.
I think Seiko looked insane. I think Seiko looked to form. Joyo's obviously... Joyo. He quite literally almost single-handedly beat Carmine Corp. I think Appjack is a little lost on that team. I think he needs to be more of a focal point. I think Joyo is a little bit too much for Appjack as a teammate. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying Appjack's bad. He's going to go on a different team. That team's going to be expected to be great. But just off the top, I'm going to say Appjack could be a change made.
Okay, I think my answer to this, I don't have an exact answer. I will say this could go either way. But I wouldn't mind seeing that Shopify roster make some form of a change. Whether it's dropping Kofor because you're not utilizing him properly and there's someone else that can fill that role better, or it's a drop to LJ or First Killer and changing the offensive style because something is not working with that team cohesion. It either needs to be a playbook change or it needs to be a roster change. I don't know which. I'm not the coach, but I just don't think they're utilizing Kofor as they should. Something needs to be changed. If I had to make a change from a team that made it to LAN, that would be my pick.
Kind of stole mine, and Shopify would never do it, but I think that they, dropping First Killer. It's going to be 100%. It's going to be a downgrade in terms of personnel. He's one of the best Rocket League players in North America, but one of the best players individually in the world. But something's got to change. I think that LJ is a very good player. I think Kofor is a fantastic player. I think that the current play style that they have is not working very well. And quite frankly, I was very skeptical of the FJ duo continuing, just with a different third this season. We saw them last season that did the same thing, and they didn't have any LAN success doing that either. So I think, and not to hate on Noli, because I feel like that's really where it goes, right? But like Life Mech FK could be a pretty cool, pretty good team, incredibly mechanical, but I don't know that that's necessarily what they should or will do. But that's kind of the first thing that I can think of.
I think maybe First Killer would be better alongside just straight up young talent, ignorant to playing bad. They're just gonna go out there and just have fun. I think Life and Mech would be a great duo for that. Do I think that's gonna happen?
Heck no.
Yeah, it'd be
No.
so, like, on paper, I feel like Shopify would get crucified to let that happen. But I mean, like, honestly, let him, because obviously, the First Killer is so knowledgeable, so intelligent in terms of his play style, in terms of what he can do by himself. And I think just letting him play alongside and letting young ones cook like that, I think that team could be awesome.
I think so too. And then, a lot of times, we've talked about the hero ball. Like if you have a Life and a Mech on your team, you don't always have to be the one that has to do everything, right? Like teams can't just zero in on one guy. And with, LJ being on Fraud Watch like he was, it makes it more difficult for them to kind of just have that individual pop off. And with that, we will wrap up today's in-person Blizzard episode of the Boost Over Ball podcast. We'd like to thank you all so much for listening. We'd like to remind everyone that this podcast is proudly brought to you by our name-level supporters on Patreon, Alyssa B. Please remember to rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts, share the show, tell a friend. It all helps us grow our audience and improve the show. Remember to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Twitch, which we're not live streaming on right now because my laptop is terrible. And come join our Discord. Make sure to support us by checking out our merch store and our Patreon. This is how we fund the show and do giveaways in the future. All of these links and more can be found on our website at boostoverball.com. And from us here on the show, as always, remember to choose Boost over Ball. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Boost Over Ball podcast. Make sure to check out our website, boostoverball.com.